For this question, we want to consider the 6 graphs shown below, labelled A to F. And by writing the corresponding letters of the graphs shown above, we want to classify each graph according to its type. So the first type we want to consider is a one-to-one relation, or a one-to-one function. And that occurs when any x value that exists has one y value that is unique across the whole graph. So that means no two y values are repeated. So if we start looking through, we can see that the y value of the first graph is repeated here and here, or even here and here. So that graph is not one-to-one. So we want to look through, and for graph D, we can see that each y value exists only once. So D is an example of a one-to-one relation, and so is F. So both of those graphs have each y value appearing only once throughout the entire graph. So we've managed to tick off D and F at this point. Next, we want to look at many-to-one relations, and that is where many x values give the same y value. So for A, we saw that if we consider x equals -2, that gives that y value, and that same y value appears later on for another x value down here. So we can see that many x values give the same y value. So that means that graph A is an example of a many-to-one relation. Looking through, there's actually some more many-to-ones. So if we look at C, the same pattern arises. If we consider x equals 2, that gives this y value here, and x equals -2 gives the same y value. So that means that the y values are repeated for many x values, and that makes it a many-to-one function or relation as well. So A and C are examples of many-to-one relations. So now we've ticked off graphs A and C as well. Next, we want to look for a graph that is one-to-many as a relation. So that means one x value gives many y values. So if we consider the x value of 1, we can see that it produces this y value and this y value. So 1x is going to many y's. So that means that B is a graph that shows a one-to-many relationship. And that is the only one of these 6 graphs that is a one-to-many relation. So we've now ticked off option B as well. So we could consider this x value of -2, which gives 2 y values, here and here. But we can also see that those same y values are repeated over at 2 and -2. So we can see that this is what we call a many-to-many relation, where there's many x giving the same y values, and that each of those x's, or at least some of those x's I should say, give multiple y values of themselves as well. So that means for our many-to-many relations, graph E is an example of that. So now we've ticked off all 6 graphs, and we've classified them according to their type of relationship that they exhibit between x and y.